The real estate agent looked at the single father from head to toe and smiled. "Sir, this house is $8 million. I don't think this property is for you." The man standing beside his young daughter said nothing. He simply looked through the huge glass windows at the beautiful house they had come to see. Then he reached into his pocket. "I'll buy it cash." The agent's smile disappeared. But what happened next would prove that the most important thing about a person is not the money in their bank account, but the kindness in their heart. Before we begin this emotional story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you are watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories about kindness, hope, and the power of believing in others. Michael was a single father who lived a simple life with his 10-year-old daughter, Emma. He was not the kind of man people noticed when he walked into a room. He wore plain clothes. He drove an old car. He rarely talked about himself. Every morning, he woke up early, prepared breakfast for Emma, packed her lunch, and drove her to school before going to work. But Michael had a secret. He was not poor. Years ago, he had started a small technology company with two friends. Nobody believed the company would succeed. But it did. Eventually, Michael sold his share for more money than he could ever spend in his lifetime. Still, he never changed. He remembered what it felt like to struggle. He remembered his mother working 2 jobs to support him. He remembered neighbors helping his family when they had almost nothing. Because of those memories, Michael believed that money was useful only when it could help someone. After his wife passed away unexpectedly, Michael became Emma's only parent. His daughter was his whole world. One Saturday morning, Emma came running into the kitchen. "Daddy, I found it." Michael looked up from his coffee. "Found what?" "The house." Emma showed him a picture on her tablet. It was a massive $8 million house overlooking a beautiful lake. Michael smiled. "That is a very big house." Emma nodded seriously. "It's perfect." "For who?" "For us." Michael laughed. Emma had always dreamed of having a home with a large garden. She wanted a place where she could plant flowers, have a dog, and invite children from school to play. Michael looked at the picture again. "Would you really like to live there?" Emma nodded. "But only if we can help someone with our old house." Michael looked at his daughter. "What do you mean?" Emma shrugged. "If we move, someone else could live in our old house. Maybe a family that needs it." Michael smiled. That was his daughter. She had learned kindness without anyone teaching her. So Michael decided to take her to see the house. They arrived at the property later that afternoon. The house was enormous. It had a long driveway, tall windows, beautiful gardens, and a view of the lake that seemed to stretch forever. A real estate agent named Richard was waiting for them. Richard looked at Michael's old car. Then he looked at his simple clothes. Finally, he looked at Emma. "You're here to see the property?" "Yes," Michael said. Richard glanced at his watch. "I have several serious clients coming later." Michael didn't understand. "We just wanted to look around." Richard sighed. "Sir, this property is $8 million. I know. It's not exactly a starter home." Michael remained calm. "I understand." Richard looked uncomfortable. "I don't want to waste your time or mine." Emma held her father's hand. Michael noticed the sadness on her face. He didn't want her to see people being judged by appearances. So he smiled. "Let's just take a look. If we don't like it, we'll leave." Richard reluctantly opened the door. As they walked through the house, Emma's eyes grew wide. She ran toward the windows. "Daddy! Look at the lake." Michael smiled. He looked at his daughter. For a moment, he imagined her growing up there. But then he noticed something. Near the back of the house, an elderly woman was sitting alone on a bench. Michael walked toward her. "Excuse me." Are you okay? The woman looked surprised. Oh, I'm fine. Richard quickly walked over. That's Mrs. Wilson. She used to own this property. Michael sat beside her. You don't look fine. The woman smiled sadly. I've lived here for 40 years. My husband built this house with me. She looked toward the lake. He passed away last year. Michael listened quietly. I had to sell the house, she continued. I can't afford the taxes anymore. Emma sat beside her. Are you sad? The old woman smiled. Yes, sweetheart. Very sad. Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out a small flower. She had picked it from the garden. This is for you. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Michael watched the two of them. Then he noticed something else. There was a small cottage behind the main house. Who lives there? He asked. Mrs. Wilson looked toward it. My gardener, Daniel. He's been taking care of this place for 20 years. Is he selling the house too? She shook her head. He doesn't own the cottage. If the new owner doesn't want him here, he'll have nowhere to go. Michael looked at Richard. Is that true? Richard shrugged. It's private property. The buyer can decide. Michael looked at Daniel. The gardener was an older man with worn clothes and tired eyes. He had spent 20 years caring for the property. Yet he might lose his home because someone else bought the land. Michael turned to Emma. She was still holding Mrs. Wilson's hand. Daddy, she whispered, can we help them? Michael smiled. Yes. Richard looked confused. Help them? Michael stood. I'll buy the house. Richard blinked. Excuse me? I'll buy it. For $8 million? Yes. Richard suddenly became very polite. Sir, I apologize. I didn't realize. Michael raised his hand. Don't apologize to me. Richard became silent. Michael looked at him. You judged me because of my clothes and my car. Richard lowered his eyes. Michael continued. But I don't want to punish you for that. He pointed toward the cottage. I want Daniel to keep living there. Then he looked at Mrs. Wilson. And I want to make sure you never have to worry about losing your home. Everyone became silent. Richard stared at him. But you said you're buying the property. I am. Michael smiled. I'll buy it, but I'll let Mrs. Wilson live here as long as she wants. And Daniel can keep his cottage. Mrs. Wilson covered her face with her hands. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Why would you do this? Michael looked at Emma. Because someone once helped my family when we had nothing. He looked back at the old woman. I never forgot it. The purchase was completed a few weeks later. Michael and Emma moved into the house. But Mrs. Wilson stayed in her home. Daniel continued caring for the gardens. And something beautiful happened. Emma started a small garden of her own. Every weekend, she invited children from the neighborhood to plant flowers. Michael also opened the house's large kitchen to local families who needed meals. Soon, the beautiful $8 million property became known for something more valuable than its price. It became a place where people felt welcome. One afternoon, Richard returned to the house. He looked different. He was nervous. I came to apologize, he said. Michael smiled. You already did. No, Richard said. I mean it this time. He looked at Emma. Your daughter taught me something that day. Emma smiled. What? Richard looked at Michael. That I should never judge a person before knowing their story. Michael shook his hand. Then perhaps the day wasn't wasted. Richard smiled. Michael never forgot that day. He had gone to buy a house for his daughter. Instead, he discovered that a home was not about walls, rooms, or an $8 million price tag. A true home was a place where people felt safe, where the lonely were welcomed, where the elderly were respected, where kindness mattered more than appearances. And Emma learned something too. She learned that having money does not make you better than anyone else. It simply gives you more opportunities to help. The greatest lesson of Michael's story is simple. We often judge people by what we see: their clothes, their car, their job, their home. But we never know what someone has survived, what they have lost, or what kindness they may carry inside. So the next time you meet someone who seems different from you, remember Michael. Choose kindness before judgment. Offer help before criticism. And remember that sometimes, the smallest act of compassion can become the beginning of something beautiful. Because in the end, the most valuable thing we can ever own is not a mansion, a fortune, or a perfect life. It is a heart that never forgets how to care for others.